Everyone, and welcome to Ukraine's pavilion at COP30. My name is Євгенія Копиця, and it's my honor to moderate today's high-level dialogue building forward together, Ukraine, US, and the climate future. This event is co-hosted by the government of Ukraine and the elected officials to protect America and streamlined live from Belém. Before we begin, I would like to offer a sincere word of appreciation of Chairman Oleg Bондаренко, who is joining us live from Ukraine. Oleg, thank you for connecting with us despite the difficult situation and responsibilities at home. Your presence reminds us why this discussion matters. Ukraine is rebuilding under extraordinary circumstances, strengthening governance, aligning with EU standards, and embedding climate ambition into every sector. Across the United States, even when federal momentum fluctuates, state and local leaders and congressional coalitions like CECC continue to drive climate action and stand firmly with Ukraine.
Thank you
Today,
so much, Friday. I think that's quite useful. I usually believe in enjoy the wind to ban the push,
extraction.
and in health,
And
I
Ukraine's
see great
story
opportunity
is not only about
really ensure that we are able to mobilize the voices from Africa again. The goal is long-term that we are not again sinking in deeper crisis. I want the final round of questions, and those who have just joined us as we were going on, please note that this was quite an inclusive process. We had representation of both women and men in the panel. It's only that the women are playing other higher roles within the negotiation process, so we had to be mobilized again. Quickly join those conversations.
Мене чути? Заново. Okay. Apologies, Oleg. We just I would have to reintroduce a little bit one more time. Good morning, everyone, once again. And I hope now you can hear me. That's fantastic. Woohoo! And it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here. My name is Євгенія Копиця, and I'm honored to moderate the panel that is framed under the important dialogue building forward together, Ukraine, the US, and the climate future. And this event is co-hosted by the government of Ukraine and elected officials to protect America and streamlined live from Belém. Before we begin, I would like to offer a sincere word of appreciation to Chairman Oleg Bондаренко, who is joining us live from Ukraine. Oleg, thank you for connecting with us and being with us despite the difficult conditions and responsibilities at home. And your presence reminds us why the discussions matter. Because Ukraine is rebuilding under extraordinary circumstances, strengthening governance, aligning with EU standards, and embedding climate ambition into every sector. Across the United States, even when the federal momentum fluctuates, state and local leaders and congressional coalitions like CECC continue to drive climate ambition and stand firmly with Ukraine. Today, these communities come together to strengthen transatlantic cooperation for sustainable reconstruction. And as I have already introduced Oleg Bонdarенко for the welcoming words, thank you very much for being with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, dear colleagues. Do you hear me? Dear colleagues? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, dear colleagues, dear friends. First of all, I want to express my sincere gratitude to all of you and especially to our partners in the United States for supporting Ukraine in these very difficult times. The United States has been with us from the very first day of the full-scale war, and we will never forget this solidarity, leadership, and friendship. I also want to thank you for standing with us on our climate and environmental path, because this war is not only a humanitarian and economic crisis, it is also an environmental and climate tragedy, the scale of which the world is yet to fully comprehend. According to scientists, over 220 million tons of greenhouse gases have already been released as a result of Russia's aggression. The aggression is now not only holding Ukraine back from meeting its climate goals, It is pushing the entire world further away from the Paris Agreement targets. While we are here at COP discussing new global ambitions, in Ukraine, forests are burning, soil is degrading, and a growing lack of clean water. This is a tragedy on a continental scale. And yet, despite the war, Ukraine keeps moving forward. Every day, under extremely difficult circumstances, the Parliament of Ukraine, Verkhovna Rada, continues its work. We are not waiting for the war to end to plan our recovery. We are acting now. We are making sure that our recovery will follow green, sustainable, and climate-neutral principles. We are aligning our policies with the European Green Deal and building the legal framework that will guide Ukraine's green recovery and integration into the EU environmental system. The title of our panel today is Building Forward Together, Ukraine, United States and the Climate Future. This phrase perfectly captures our national strategy. Our goal is simple but ambitious: to rebuild Ukraine better, cleaner, and more resilient than before. This is not just about rebuilding infrastructures, it's about rebuilding the frame, the future. We believe that the recovery of Ukraine must be based on respect for nature, energy efficiency, circular economy, and climate responsibility. And we know we cannot do it alone. This is why your partnership, the partnership of the United States, the European Union, other countries and international organizations is so essential. A key example of this future-oriented cooperation is our work in the sphere of critical raw materials. The United States-Ukraine cooperation on critical minerals is not just a commercial agreement, it is a strategic partnership. It is a cornerstone for building secure, transparent, and sustainable supply chains that are vital for the global green transition. Together, we can ensure that the resources needed for batteries, renewable energy, and clean tech are sources responsibility, strengthening our joint energy security and climate ambitions. You are not only helping us to defend our freedom, you are helping us to defend the future of this planet and to build a new model of green, resilient development. So on behalf of the Ukrainian Parliament and the Committee of the Environmental Policy of Ukrainian Parliament and the people of Ukraine, thank you for your unwavering support, for your solidarity, and for believing in our green recovery. Together, we will build Ukraine and we will rebuild it the green way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're truly honored to be joined by you, and thank you for the work that you have been doing in Ukraine to advance and to really ensure that Ukraine's recovery and reconstruction is truly green, sustainable, and climate aligned. Thank you very much. And as it has been mentioned, Ukraine's recovery is not only about rebuilding, it is about defining global standards. And these global standards, they span across like clean energy, transparency, resilience, and democracy. And our discussion today focuses on how Ukrainian officials, US subnational leaders, congressional climate coalitions, diplomats, and academic experts can collaborate to advance this shared vision. And I would like to introduce our speakers today. And Alex Kornelll, the President of Elected Officials to Protect America, Max Franken, Sustainable Energy and Environmental Coalition, US Congress, Vікторія Кирєва, former Deputy Minister of Environmental Protection and current the Deputy of the Kyiv Council, and Oleg Bонdarенko, the Charge d'Affaires of Ukraine and Brazil. Thank you very much for joining us today for this important conversation. And let us begin. And I think the first question would go to Alex. Alex, US subnational leaders have demonstrated consistent climate action and strong solidarity with Ukraine? And how can state-level experience in clean energy and in resilience planning support Ukraine's sustainable reconstruction?
Radio check. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kopicya. I'm very honored and pleased to be here today with such a wonderful panel to really show the commitment between the United States and Ukraine. While certain challenges may be happening at the federal level, we know that at the subnational level, there's extremely strong support for Ukraine to protect our planet and protect Ukraine at the same time, because they go hand in hand. The ability for us to work together on particularly clean energy not only protects our security, our health, and prosperity. And what do I mean by that? Really what it means is people working with people across the oceans and world to support a much more secure future when we focus on subnational relations. And for instance, our Sister City program that brings together lawmakers from Ukraine, UK, and the United States form triads. And in those triads, we're able to think about how we can support Ukraine's energy security. One example, for instance, a team got together and they realized because wind turbines are extremely secure, the missile that can take them out costs more than the turbine. And it's like hitting a toothpick in a forest. So you have to actually occupy the area or get within 40 kilometers for to take them out. And so Legion One Energy is looking at how do you take the 80-meter turbines, replace them in the United States with 126-meter blades, repower them, and bring them to Ukraine. And in that process, because so much is done at the local level, the partnerships with the states and oblasts make all the difference to accelerate the permitting and everything. And so working, say, Berkeley is one of the folks we're talking with to underwrite the geopolitical risk insurance to support the wind turbine project. And then at the same time, the financing can come from Article 6 and agreements between, say, the United Kingdom, Ukraine, because that allows much better financing for the development to move forward. So you can see how all the puzzle pieces come together from the subnational working together to support, say, the risk insurance, to support the technical implementation and the governments working together, as well as the financing, and then overall the cooperation, because sometimes it's just as simple as two schools talking to each other and the kids saying, let's read a book in English. And then the kids in the UK or the US, they're saying, let's do the same. And they build those connections over time, all the way up to let's make Ukraine more energy secure and independent and lead the world in what is the #1 threat to fossil fuel dictators, is our ability to get off of fossil fuels and replace it with clean energy.
Thank you very much. And thank you for connecting the dots, because between the climate action and fighting the fossil fuel dictatorship, because this is something that's like the world has been working a lot, but sometimes not successfully enough, not fast enough. And in Ukraine, we have this urgency of now, and thank you for sharing this vision. And I know that Max is pretty pressed for time, so I would like to give the floor to you, but I have a specific question for you, because I do know that CECC has played a major role in advancing ambitious climate policy in the US. And how can climate coalitions like you support Ukraine in building a clean, secure, and modern energy system and reinforce our shared climate goals? Because we're here in Ukraine's pavilion, but this is extending far beyond the Ukraine's borders. And thank you for being here with us and finding the time.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me? Great. I really, really appreciate the time this morning and apologize that I'll have to be running after I answer the question. By way of just a little bit of context, my name is Max Frankel. I'm the executive director of an organization called Seek Institute, which was created by the members of Congress who work on climate and energy issues together to support and extend their work. We exist to deploy members of Congress outside of their strictly legislative roles to find and achieve environmental progress right now, not waiting for the perfect conditions in the US Congress, but understanding the urgency with which we have to work and pushing forward ahead. We do work very closely with the Sikh caucus in the House that is more closely aligned to the day-to-day legislative goals that these members are trying to achieve through Congress. And I'll speak to your question a little bit. I think Ukraine has the potential as it rebuilds to be a model for the rest of the world. The gentleman before, I think, was incredibly eloquent in speaking about the tragedy that is ongoing, but the opportunity that it creates to create a world that is the world we want to live in, that's built on sustainable, small s sustainable economic growth. And I think that's really the key. We need to be thinking about how we can create a system that is replicable over the long term, that does not rely on diminishing resources and does not rely on exploiting indigenous populations or underprivileged populations or anyone, a system that can perpetuate itself. And the unfortunate situation in Ukraine has created a blank slate or something akin to a blank slate in a part of the world that is not accustomed to that, in a time in our history that is not accustomed to that. We have the opportunity to put a conscious foot forward and do this in a way that we want to actually see the results are what we want to achieve. The role of the US government, I think, is paramount here. It has been fickle and inconsistent, particularly over the last year. And frankly, that's not acceptable. What we need to see is this opportunity for a shared economic future, for shared prosperity between Ukraine and the United States, but also between Ukraine and everyone else in the world. And also with the United States as a partner with the EU and the rest of the world. And that economic future is not just about, does not take place in a vacuum. Our environmental, it has paramount environmental impacts as we think about energy supply, as we think about the number of electrons that we're going to need to build the 21st century economy that Ukraine will have, and to do it in a way that intersects and interacts with the rest of Europe, with the rest of the world's energy infrastructure. It obviously goes beyond energy, but I think that's a fairly decent place to sort of think about the interconnections here because it is frankly so interconnected. And so the United States and the members of Congress that we work with are very committed to seeing this through, whether it's technical assistance, whether it's whatever type of support is required to ensure that we're doing this in a conscious and conscientious way. It's a long road to hoe. There's a lot of back and forth. The pendulum is going to swing more times than I think we would want, particularly from the US domestic political perspective. But understand that we are, and the members of Congress that we work with are committed to seeing this through to the end. We don't really have another choice, and we'll do what it takes.
So much. That is incredible work that you
Apologize
have
for
been
having to
doing. Yeah, please go. But thank you for sharing the fantastic work that you have been doing. And I think like if there are still people committed, no matter what is happening politically wise, either it is in the United States or it is in any other place in the world, like we're sure that the climate, that we have the chance to save our planet. And thanks a lot for sharing that vision. And we actually today have been so much privileged to be joined by Oleg Blanco. Thank you for finding the time in your incredibly busy schedule because you are the diplomat and you are the president, you are the chair of the Ukrainian embassy in Brazil. And from the perspective which I would like to ask you, the diplomatic engagement is key to attracting climate-aligned investment and Ukraine's international partners, because you have been working across the different continents, and now you're here in Brazil. So can you tell us a few words about your experience? And thank you for finding the time to commit and to share this vision.
Dear friends, I will try to explain what I am feeling here because this is my first experience, and really I was not ready for your question because I have a short speech, and it's a good experience, and I am sure that our delegation will fulfill all the expectations, and I wish all the best to you, to all of you. And if you let me, I will read prepared during the night by us. Thank you. Distinguished members of Congress, dear colleagues and friends, on behalf of the Embassy of Ukraine in Brazil, it is the honor to speak here in Berlin at COP30, in one of the hearts of the Amazon. When we speak about the Amazon, we think not only of Pará, but also of Manaus in Amazonas, or about our friends from Macapá in the state of Amapá, and of other Amazon countries like Suriname, Guyana, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, and Venezuela. Altogether, this region is living symbol of life, balance, and world we must protect. Ukraine is proud to take part in this conversation because today our country is more than defender of freedom. It is also a place where recovery, resilience, and climate goals meet. The war brought pain and destruction to millions of families, to our cities, farmlands, and ecosystems. But it also gave us a clean mission to rebuild the hope and the things of our people. But as well, life made life of them cleaner and happier than before. With the help of the US, European Union, Japan, Korea, Australia, and New Zealand, we are rebuilding schools and hospitals with clean energy, restoring forests and rivers, investing in renewable and supporting local communities, providing that even in the hardest times, we can move forward towards a sustainable and democratic future. In this effort, the United States has shown true leadership. Our partnership is built on the shared values like democracy, human dignity, and hope. But also, and it is very important, on action. Because when the US speaks about support, it acts. We all know that speeches are not enough. The world needs proof that we can act and act now. Now all countries can say and do the same. And that makes your leadership truly important. Your help is seen in real projects, real energy cooperation, and real assistance for communities rebuilding their lives. With US leadership and the support of our international partners, we can build a model green recovery that connects energy security, democracy, and climate resilience. So let us build forward together, Ukraine, United States, and all partner countries that are here in Berlin, turning commitment into action and solidarity into shared progress. Because the future we create here together will define not only the climate, it will define who we are and as a global community. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention. And I wish all the best for my Ukrainian delegation in this.
Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate your time and staying here and being here with us. And it has been a fantastic speech that you prepared, very humbly saying that we are preparing that, like, because it's your job, the fantastic work that you have been doing for us here, representing Ukraine and standing for the shared values. So thank you. We really appreciate that. And now I would love to proceed to our next incredible speaker with an incredible experience, serving as for quite a long time in the face of the climate diplomacy in Ukraine, the climate action in Ukraine, the former deputy minister of the Minister back then of the Environmental Protection, currently the deputy of the Kyiv City Council, that is here as well with us, the fourth COP in a row. And it's incredible how great experience like you gained by representing Ukrainians in the international arena. But currently, with your experience as both the deputy minister and the current representative of the Kyiv City Council, what should be the priorities for aligning national climate policy with city level resilience? Because I know you have been doing a lot on that. And of course, how you are envisioning this green recovery, and where do you see the strongest opportunities for cooperation with the US partners?
Thank you. I will ask Evgenia to help me and translate, okay? Дякую в першу чергу за підтримку. Дякую, Алекса, що надаєте нам завжди допомогу в розвитку України.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for support, and thank you, Alex, that you are giving out the chance to support, for your support of Ukraine.
Мій досвід роботи на національному рівні і також на регіональному рівні показує одне, що відбудова України повинна бути одразу пов'язана з зеленими принципами.
My experience of working on both governmental level and at the local level is that the reconstruction of Ukraine should be right away connected with the green principles.
Перше, це відбудова за сучасними принципами, це відбудова з енергоефективними рішеннями, це відбудова з зеленими рішеннями.
First of all, it's the reconstruction that includes the principles that ensure energy efficiency and the best available technologies that are embedded since the very first stage.
Раніше, років 5 назад, ми не розуміли, як нам декарбонізувати нашу економіку. Війна показала, що військова декарбонізація зробила все сама.
5 years ago, we couldn't foresee how we can decarbonize our economy. The war made it for us. Our economy was decarbonized because of the huge destruction as a result of the warfare.
І тому ми не вправі відбудовувати так, як було раніше. Ми повинні відбудувати тільки за найкращими технологіями.
That's why we cannot afford ourselves to build back the way how it was, but we must, and we are envisioning building forward with the best available technologies.
Друге – це освіта і підготовка кадрів, які будуть займатися саме відбудовою і впровадження цих рішень на практиці.
The second point is the education. Education means preparing the experts and the people who would be involved in the green and sustainable reconstruction of Ukraine.
Дуже невелика кількість людей розуміють європейські стандарти, розуміють принципи Паризької угоди, кліматичні принципи.
Not many people understand what are the standards that are foreseen by the Paris Agreement, by the European Green Deal.
І тому ми вже сьогодні і зараз повинні говорити, як ми будемо підготовлювати кадровий потенціал і як ми будемо підготовлювати людей, які будуть відбудовувати нашу Україну.
That's why already now, we should be talking about how we can prepare the next generation of experts that would be helping to reconstruct and rebuild Ukraine.
Третій виклик – це фінансування саме на регіональному рівні.
And the third challenge is the financing, of course, the funding and financing that goes on the local level and on the governmental level as well.
Тому що сьогодні бюджет України – це в першу чергу військовий бюджет, і ми повинні розуміти, що на сьогодні наші міста і наші регіони працюють тільки за фінансуванням наших міжнародних партнерів.
Because we need to understand that the governmental fund of Ukraine mostly is used for our warfare expenses. And the local budgets are operated mainly with the help of our international partners.
Тому тут тільки три принципи: це рішення вірні, це фінансування і це кадровий потенціал.
That's why we have only three solutions: right decisions, the right people, experts, and looking for the cooperation.
Тому зараз я хочу вже подякувати нашим партнерам і США, і Європейському Союзу за те, що ми вже сьогодні відбудовуємо наші міста з енергоефективними рішеннями.
Right now, I already super grateful to our international partners with help of whom we are already rebuilding our cities, our local communities with trying to introduce the best available technologies and
Вже сьогодні ми робимо програми з адаптації до зміни клімату в наших регіонах.
Already working on the climate plans for the adaptation of the regions in Ukraine. Not only working, but implementing as well.
І вже сьогодні ми розпочали говорити про освіту і про впровадження нових підходів. І окремо я хочу подякувати Алексу і Євгенії. Ми вчора були на панелі, презентували нову ініціативу. Це Зелена академія, Green Academy.
And we are already working on introducing the educational programs that would help to prepare the future leaders, experts on climate policy, on industry with the vast knowledge in the sphere how to help Ukraine be really climate neutral. And I would like to refer to yesterday's event where we presented the vision of the Green Academy, and to thank you one more time to Alex and to Evgenia, myself, for sharing this vision and introducing it together with us.
Тому сьогодні я з певністю хочу сказати, що Україна готова, українці готові до нових рішень. Ми готові відновлювати Україну, відновлювати за новими принципами, але ми просимо допомоги, ми просимо фінансування і підтримки від наших друзів і партнерів. Дякую.
So that's why I want to highlight one more time that we are ready to rebuild. We are ready to recover in the best available, sustainable green vision. The only thing that we need is to continue to have the continual cooperation of our international partners, funding to help these programs align, because Ukraine is a fantastic nation with the best creative solutions, and we have created already all conditions for this vision to come into life. Thank you. And people in Ukraine. Maybe, Alex, you can go first.
Thank you, because that really speaks to the ability to cooperate at the subnational level, because that's where things are going to happen. At the federal level, financing is extremely important. That's where they can pull the largest levers. But it's really the subnational level where that level of cooperation is going to be vital to ensure that things actually get done on the ground. And so, for instance, that's why at Elected Officials to Protect the Earth and Elected Officials to Protect America, in partnership with the University of San Francisco, we have a public leadership certificate program that brings together elected officials, the universities, impact investors, philanthropy, and businesses and NGOs who care very much about how we are redeveloping and reconstructing and rebuilding Ukraine. And in that, they form policy teams. And the best policy idea gets some funding to go implement. And what we've seen come out of that, some really innovative ideas, including the Green Academy, which has the ability to be a model for other countries, because we've known, time and time again, when we don't invest in the people who are doing the innovative work to educate others, we build backwards. When we invest in people and connect them to the different knowledge between the universities, the businesses, the NGOs, and the governments, then we build forward together. And so I wholeheartedly believe it's that cooperation that will make the best future for Ukraine, but really it strengthens the other countries at the same time. Because we know that the US has already learned from Ukraine's innovativeness and dedication and tirelessly tireless, being relentless at keeping fossil fuel dictators like Putin at bay. Everything from drones to electric vehicle charging, Ukraine has brought knowledge and infrastructure back to the United States while protecting our global security. At the same time, we have the ability to invest at the local level. And it's both an investment in academic knowledge, it's an investment in actually dollars, in insurance, risk insurance, in media coverage, in working together to bring students. All this can happen, not just, hey, here's a check, because that check is so much more. It's the people behind it that really implement what that means. And so some tangible examples to that can be, say, Chernihiv in the UK, working with, Chernihiv in Ukraine, working with Kent in the UK, and now Harrisonburg, Virginia. They're looking at making a winery. And you'd think it like in northern Ukraine, it wouldn't be the best spot. They actually have some amazing blueberry wine in Maine. So these grapes are wonderful because the mining, when they're deep, it's very hard to extract them. But the roots of grapes only go very shallow. So it's actually a wonderful place to put it. And then the UK folks would say, hey, come to the UK, we'll train you how to do this. And let's build a project together. That's one small example at the subnational level that can happen. And it's another one idea that was spurred at the Public Leadership Certificate. So again, bringing those folks together creates the best results to build forward together.
Much. Be there the reflection from other speakers or from the audience? Or questions to our fantastic panel?
Many peoples are closed, no connect. Many people no want to connect, isolate. How people influence work which together? How many people very slow, very isolate? How people work together?
That is a very good question, how to ensure that people get connected together, because we are so much like doing our own business all around the world, right? And like we're living our small bubbles, but this crisis is shared. Either it is Ukraine's burning forests, or it is the Amazonian for deforestation that is happening, or it is the wildfires in California. This is all interconnected. And so the question is how we can make people work together. Do you have any ideas or any suggestions?
Складне питання, насправді. It's very difficult questions. Тому що Україна зараз в першу чергу стоїть на її виклик, як об'єднати людей, які проживають на території України, які знаходяться на окупованих територіях в повній ізоляції.
This is a very difficult question, especially we can give an example of Ukraine. So we have now the challenge how to unite people inside Ukraine that are situated in different regions of Ukraine, some of the occupied territories, the occupied territories, those internally displaced people.
І давайте говорити відкрито, сьогодні світ ділиться на дві частини. Світ позитивний, світ негативний.
And let's be honest, like currently the world is divided into two parts, the positive world and the negative world. So the good and the evil, yeah?
І тому навіть на цій конференції всі, хто сюди приїхав, в першу чергу ми об'єднуємося, щоб перемогло добро, щоб перемогли зелені демократичні принципи, і показуємо всьому світу, що ми можемо разом. Да, нас небагато, але це початок.
So that's why we are here at this conference, like working so that the good wins the evil. So always the light actually fights with the dark. And yes, maybe it's not enough people here. And maybe I would complement Victoria's point is that at the same time, like such events are being criticized for having too many people coming to talk about the climate action, but such forums matter. And we start little, but then we disseminate this knowledge, and this is the only way how we can sure that we can work together. Thank you. Thank you. That's a very good reflection. Maybe anybody else?
I just wanted to say that this is a long way, and we have to go on to have patience, and I am sure that one day we will come to not to the final point, but we will make the world better. And this is, as I say, a very long and difficult thing. I wish all of us, I wish to our planet all the best, and let it be like you say.
Thank you so much. Like it's a long way, challenging way, but still you have highlighted that there is a light. So then we would definitely reach the light, and definitely would ensure that's well, humanity will survive. In what stage? That's an interesting point. But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, fantastic panelists. And it was a great discussion. It was supposed to be joined by a little bit more people, like the panelists, but unfortunately, due to the challenging circumstances in different countries around the world, people couldn't take the flights and their flights were delayed. So, but they're with us. And like sometimes when you don't feel, and maybe it's reflecting on your questions, when you don't feel that there is enough people standing behind you, as a privileged Ukrainian, I can say, like we could witness it on the 24th of February. We couldn't believe that the world would be standing for us. And maybe when the crisis comes, the good response. So when there is always darkness, there will be always light. And I really, really appreciate you all for sharing this optimistic and light vision that Ukraine's pavilion is showing.